Field Marshal Sir Douglas Haig. While Haig died in 1928, his ghost haunted the British Army. His philosophy, that victory came from massive artillery barrages followed by infantry assaults to wear down the enemy, was obsolete by 1939. The generals who rose in his shadow often shared this mindset. General Sir Alan Cunningham, British, North Africa, 1941. A hero of the East Africa Campaign, Cunningham was given command of the newly formed 8th Army for Operation Crusader, aimed at relieving Tobruk. He fundamentally misunderstood the pace and fluidity of desert warfare. When the German Afrika Korps, under Rommel, launched its characteristic daring counterthrusts, the dash to the wire, Cunningham panicked. Faced with confusing reports of German tanks in his rear, he concluded the battle was lost and advised a full retreat to save the army. He was mentally and doctrinally broken by the very maneuver warfare he was supposed to be conducting. Cunningham was a capable officer in a static campaign, but was intellectually unprepared for high-tempo armored warfare. He saw temporary operational penetration as strategic defeat. He was relieved by General Claude Auchinleck and never held a field command again. General Lloyd Fredendall, American, North Africa, 1942–43. Fredendall was chosen for high command due to political patronage and a forceful personality, not competence. As commander of 2nd Corps at the Battle of Kasserine Pass, his failures were catastrophic. Contempt for the enemy and terrain. He dismissed both the Germans and the challenging terrain, infamously ordering an engineering officer to build a massive, exposed Corps headquarters dug into a remote canyon miles from the front. It took 200 engineers 3 weeks to complete this useless, vulnerable compound. Micromanagement via code. He issued confusing orders from his safe HQ using cryptic map codes like move to XYZ, unfamiliar to his subordinates. Toxic leadership. He was openly disrespectful to his British allies and held racist views of his own troops, saying the 1st Armored Division's men had no guts. The Kasserine disaster. When Rommel attacked in February 1943, Fredendall's poor disposition of forces, spreading units thinly across fronts, placing artillery on exposed forward slopes, and panicked, vague orders led to the collapse of American positions. He ordered a key defensive pass to be held at all costs, then, hours later, ordered its abandonment, creating chaos. The U.S. Army suffered a humiliating defeat with over 6,000 casualties. Fredendall's failure was a combination of arrogance, poor tactical judgment, and a complete lack of understanding of modern combined arms warfare. He was a peacetime general whose flaws were fatal in combat. Dwight Eisenhower relieved him, replacing him with the flamboyant but competent George S. Patton. General John K. Uncle John Magruder, American, Philippines, 1941. A prime example of the cavalry mafia that dominated the pre-war U.S. Army. True events and failures. As a senior commander under General Douglas MacArthur in the Philippines, Magruder was tasked with defending the Bataan Peninsula. He insisted on using his 26th Cavalry Regiment, Philippine Scouts, a horse-mounted unit, as a front-line combat force against Japanese infantry and tanks. The last charge. In January 1942, he ordered the 26th Cavalry Regiment to conduct a suicidal mounted charge and dismounted delaying action against Japanese tanks and infantry. The brave but doomed charge was the last mounted cavalry charge in U.S. Army history. While valiant, it was a pointless waste of highly trained personnel and symbolized the utter bankruptcy of his military thinking. The horses were later eaten by starving troops on Bataan. Magruder wasn't necessarily dumb, but he was tragically obsolete. He represented an army that had failed to internalize the lessons of blitzkrieg. He saw horses as symbols of mobility and esprit de corps, utterly blind to their vulnerability in the age of machine guns and tanks. Marshal Semyon Timoshenko, Soviet, Kharkov, 1942. While a competent Civil War cavalryman and a hero of the Winter War, Timoshenko's failure at the Second Battle of Kharkov is a masterclass in operational blindness and blaming subordinates. True events and failures. In May 1942, Timoshenko, with Stalin's approval, launched a major offensive to retake Kharkov. Initial successes were dramatic, but he and his staff, including a young Nikita Khrushchev, completely ignored mounting intelligence from frontline units and air reconnaissance that a massive German counterattack was building on the vulnerable flanks of the Soviet salient. Why? They were wedded to the plan and dismissed contrary evidence as cowardice or alarmism. When the German pincers closed, the Red Army was catastrophically trapped. Losses were staggering, approximately 270,000 casualties, with 170,000 dead or captured. After the disaster, Timoshenko and the political officers, to save their own lives, blamed the soldiers and junior commanders for the defeat, claiming a lack of will to fight and panic. This was a grotesque distortion. The failure was at the Front Army Group command level, Timoshenko's own, for failing to perceive the operational picture and react to clear warnings. The defeat cleared the way for the German drive to Stalingrad. General Oberst Friedrich Fromm, German, head of the replacement army. A different kind of failure, not a battlefield blunder, but a catastrophic failure of moral and professional courage that had strategic consequences. True events and failures. Fromm commanded the Einsatzheeren, the army responsible for training and supplying replacements for the front. He was aware of the July 20, 1944 plot to assassinate Hitler. His position was cynically ambiguous. He wanted the plot to succeed if it did, but refused to actively commit, saying he would only join the winning side. The night of failure. When the plot appeared to have succeeded, he briefly arrested SS officers. When it became clear Hitler was alive, he immediately turned on the conspirators, arresting his own chief of staff, Klaus Stauffenberg, and others. To cover his own tracks, he convened a sham court-martial and had them shot that night in the courtyard, robbing the regime of valuable intelligence. Then he reported to Hitler that he had crushed the push. Fromm's failure was one of utter self-serving cowardice. He had no clue how to act for the good of his country, only for his own skin. His actions were a chaotic mix of treason and brutal loyalty, driven solely by personal survival. Hitler saw through it and had Fromm executed anyway. Fromm failed at command, loyalty, and conspiracy, embodying the moral bankruptcy at the heart of the Nazi regime. These generals failed for different but interconnected reasons: intellectual obsolescence, Cunningham, Magruder; professional incompetence masked by bravado, Fredendall; operational rigidity and scapegoating, Timoshenko; and moral cowardice, Fromm. Their failures were paid for in the blood of the soldiers they led.